Hello everyone, this is ICBs here and today we are talking about if Hollywood really needs blockbusters. And before we get into that, I just wanted to take a short moment to tell you guys that this video is inspired by one of the people that commented on my video. And I think that's pretty neat. And if you guys want me to talk about some other topics or movies or you just want to have a discussion or a conversation in general, the comment section is always open for you guys. And maybe in the future I can, always make videos inspired by comment sections, but I can also make videos where I react to your comments and answer your questions. And you can take this opportunity to comment under this video, and if there are enough comments under this video, I will definitely make a follow-up video and you might have a chance to be featured on my next video. With that said, let's get into this video. Now, why do I think that blockbusters are a huge problem for Hollywood? Well, for one thing, they're insanely huge budgets. Right now, the standard is $200 million, which is a shit ton of money. And when you add the promotional cost, which is usually double that of the entire movie's budget, it becomes $400 million, which is again a lot of money. And $400 million is the standard budget for an average blockbuster movie. Which means that studios who have this much money to spend, they just can't spend this kind of money on literally anything, they can't do that. So they choose very safe movies like franchises, Star Wars, Marvel, and any other movies that they know is sure to make a lot of profit. For example, Indiana Jones with the budget of $300 million, it flopped. And Marvel's with the budget of $270 million, it flopped. So it just kind of becomes this game of high stakes gambling. You're putting in a lot of money, but you're expecting a lot of returns and as well, which means if your movie, which is a big chance that your movie might just fail, and a lot of blockbuster movies do end up failing, these studios lose a lot of money. And in these kinds of movies, they are throwing a lot of money in CGI and most of the A-list actors that make majority bulk of the budget for the movie. And when you have a movie with a really high budget, you also get fans' expectations really high as well. And when that movie underperforms, it takes a massive hit to that studio. And when studios are making these big blockbusters, they end up making the whole thing too safe. For instance, you might have noticed in media or any movies or games this level of Marvel humor, which was fresh when it came out, but now it's been overdone. And a lot of these popular blockbusters are actually copying that kind of witty dialogue, which is infuriating because everyone is doing that. But that's the thing, this whole situation has become very formulaic and the studios know about that and they still try to milk this generic formula. But I just don't think that it's working anymore. And then you have the polar opposite of that, where you have low budget movies, and I do think that low budget movies have a higher chance of succeeding, and it also has a chance of bringing in fresher ideas. Because when you have these budget constraints on people tend to perform a lot better. There's a lot of examples of people trying to work within this certain level of constraints. I've heard a lot of people talk about whenever they have to work with budget limits, they tend to come up ideas that are original. They end up innovating, and that only happens when you have a limited budget. People tend to surprise you. It forces creativity and stronger storytelling. There are a lot of examples of small budget movies that ended up performing really well. For example, the horror movie Get Out. It was made on a measly budget of $4.5 million and ended up making $255 million. That's massive gains. I'm not even sure how to comprehend that. A Quiet Place, also a horror movie, it was made on a budget of $17 million and ended up making $341 million. And then you have a massive franchise, it is now a franchise, but John Wick 1 was made on a measly budget of $20 million and it is now a massive franchise. And then you also have another example of a horror movie. It was made on a budget of $15,000, not even $100,000, not even $1 million, $15,000, and it ended up making $193 million. That movie is Paranormal Activity. And another movie that I really love that came out recently is Godzilla Minus One. And I'm not sure, I haven't checked it yet, but I think the budget for that movie was $20 million and it made a lot of money. And not only that, it was a really good movie, and it was a high sci-fi action-packed CGI filled movie. And if you pause that movie, you might have noticed some wonky CGI here and there, but all in all, it was a solid movie, and it with only a budget of $20 million, that should put most Hollywood blockbusters to shame. And that is the precise reason why I think that Hollywood needs to shift towards smaller films. I'm not saying to abandon the idea of blockbusters altogether, but maybe experiment with small budget movies, and the keyword being experiment, because you can really come up with smart and original stories through that. But I think at the end of the day, whatever I say doesn't really matter, because these bigger studios have a lot of money to burn. I don't know where they get this money, but blockbusters are on an all-time high. Every year there's so many blockbuster movies coming out, which means that we need to also focus on smaller movies that most people don't know about. So I think we should also watch those movies. As an audience, it is our obligation to do that. So if any one of you watching this video know a really good smaller budget movie, let me know and I will talk about it. I will watch that movie and I will talk about it. I think that's the only way we can support movies. But with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.